Dear brothers, it's about quality, not quantity.
So guys, it should be your conversation where you flow your presence enough for a woman to want to be around you, not how much money you spend.
Dear sisters, it's about knowing your value.
My sisters out there, don't be afraid to scare a guy off just because you have standards.
Dear brothers, dear sisters, it's time to come together.
All right, my people, welcome back, man, to the most mature relationship podcast we have going on. I'm your host, Jamel Lawrence, and I'm here with my partner, the accountability coach, author, Carl. What's going on, my man?
What's up, brother? How you doing?
Man, I cannot call it, man. Listen, we are live on Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, and thank you all for joining us, even though in Connecticut, the weather was like 81 degrees. As you can see, I got on my short sleeve shirt and everything, my people. But it did a whole 180 today. Now it's cold and rainy up here. Again, this is New England weather. So this is where the Thames got to come out. But for those who is watching on YouTube, make sure you hit that subscription button. So not only that, you'll be notified of our show, but you'll also get access to all of our other episodes that have beautiful topics. And if you believe in the message of bringing our brothers and sisters together, comparing Carl to this extreme radicalist that is floating around on social media, that is keeping us apart, make sure you join our website, which is dearbrothersdearsisters.com. I'm going to put that right here. And this is the only site that is dedicated to healthy and monogamous relationships. So make sure you check that out. But Carl, man, how you doing, my brother? What's going on?
Man, I can't complain, man. Like I said, just all over the country. So it's up there, but life is good, man. I tell you, I know definitely no complaints, man. Just trying to help the people to
always
see past the list.
Like everybody is this going around. It's like a slugfest between brothers and sisters, right, man? And speaking of lists, my man, the Dear Brothers, Dear Sisters website, as Carl's saying, we're trying to help the people. So we have the practical tools on our site to help you self-reflect and learn how to become a better version of yourself. So that way you can get the relationship you desire, whether it's coaching sessions, whether it's gyms, because trust me, you guys are in for a treat tonight. Whether it's getting credible advice from like therapists, counselors, we have it there on our website. But Carl, it's been another controversial week at hand when we have those who are firmly put it out there to disregard valuing someone's character, but you're going to take me at certain places. You cannot take me to certain places on the first date. And it's just been this whole battle between us, man. And before I pull up some of these lists, I just want to get your thoughts, whether this is helping us overall or furthering dividing us. What's your thoughts on this?
What I want to say, I'll probably get banned for, but but no, the reality is, I think the list is nothing but division. And I have to ask people these two questions. Number one, what is the list? Where has your list gotten you? You know, if you're still 30, 40, 50, 60 years old, you're still going on first dates, you've never been married, I mean, you need to self-reflect. Take a look at yourself in the mirror for real on that. Where's your list gotten you? And then the other thing is, you know, is your list real? You know, I know we're going to do a show later on this season, you know, on realistic expectations and on dating side of it. But that's a real question. You know, are you what you're looking for, you know, and it's not about, well, I'm going to have standards, this and this. And I understand. I tell people, you know, wait on God. I say, okay, what are their characters? Does your list line up with the characteristics of that? And that's probably the biggest thing. So I think the list has really done more harm than good. You know, and I think, and I say, you know, having a conversation with one of our moderators, and I made a comment on that. I said, I think to me, the list allows people to not take accountability for the inability to get into a relationship, a healthy relationship.
Accountability is kryptonite, Carl. We always say that, man.
It is. So keep up with your list. Let me know how it's doing 5 years from now.
5 years from now. Oh my goodness, my brother, man. I mean, I hear what you're saying. My thing is, I hear you, my brother, and here I am. I'm asking myself, right, Carl? These lists created by, are these lists created by people who accept that in this day and age that is mandatory, that you must follow this path in order to get the woman of your dreams or the man of your dreams? Or is this a list created by people who want to express themselves and want to just put it out there to value my standards? There's healthy boundaries when it comes to this. And here's one list that I'm going to put up on the screen here. This was from the men's side. That's from the men's side, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then when you have that portion, and I feel like I'm in a UFC fight, you know what I'm saying? That's in one corner. And then the next corner, the sisters come out with their lists, which I'll go ahead and put up on the screen. And I know our guest backstage like, what the hell? But my thing, Carl, is just, it's like, I feel like every other group of people are the spectators watching this UFC fight between our brothers and sisters while we continue to slug it out. But do you think that some of the idols on either list have a valid statement?
There's a couple. There's always going to be a few things that are valid. And again, you always hear this dating your pay grade or dating your lane, and all these different dynamics that are out here. People want to say. So again, I'll go back to it. There are valid things on each list. There's not enough time to go into each one and break them down. But right. I'll say this: where is your list getting you? If you're still having to go on a first date 20 years after you did your list and nobody's locking you down or agreeing to be locked down with you, your list is trash. It's not about well, God's timing, because I feel like this. And I'm only using Cheesecake Factory because people had brought that up, made it forefront. But what if God's got your spouse waiting for you in the Cheesecake Factory? That's literally the person. Yeah. That's literally the place that he has you going, because he wants to see if you're humble enough and appreciative enough of the blessing he's getting ready to give you. But you miss out on your blessing because it's the Cheesecake Factory. And I'm just using that as an example. Yeah. But people have places they don't want to go, but I go on dates. I'm not spending an arm and a leg, and I talk. You and I talked about this. I'll bring it up real quick before we bring our guest in. Right. I date high value, high earning women all the time.
Facts.
They approach me most of the time. Never, ever have I heard them say, "Oh, this place is beneath me." All of them have offered a coffee date meetup, right? A walk in the park. Let's go to the gym. Let's be, because again, they know what I earn. They kind of have an idea what I make, and I know kind of idea. So again, nobody's being cheap. We're looking at characteristics and experience over cost. And so I say this even to the brothers early on. If you're attracting the wrong type of women, look at how you're leading and look at what you're accepting. I don't. And these women are feminine. These women are soft. These women are submissive. These women allow me to be the lead. And it makes it perfect for me to do what I need to do as a man. But it's not about 5-star restaurants. It's about the experience all the time. Yes, nice dates are wonderful. Use them. Use them to celebrate occasions. Use them when you really want to spoil them. But all the time on a first date, people are missing out because they're trying to get the experience. They're trying to just be with an experience and not the characteristics of the person. Get the characteristics, enjoy the ambience, enjoy the experience of the night with that person, and see what happens. Have fun. I always keep saying, have fun dating. These people, your list is going to keep you shopping for a puppy. That's it.
Yeah. Or cat. Heathcliff.
Or cat. Yeah, cat. Yeah. Depending if you're allergic to dog, you want a cat, go get a cat. Maybe a raccoon. I don't know.
reptile.
Reptile, whatever you want. Alligator, snake. I mean, just go get what you want. Get a fish tank and put a shark in there. I don't care what it is, but that you're gonna be shopping for some type of mammal or animal. That's it. I mean,
facts.
Because and I know there'll be pushback on it, and you know, and I wish the best. I always tell people I wish the best for everybody, but you got to start looking at where you're at. And if you've been doing the same thing for the last 5, 10, 15 years, and you have not found what you're looking for, or they have not found you, time for a reevaluation.
Man, everything you said was right on head. I mean, valid point, my brother. Me personally, some items on the women's list are, for my taste, way too extreme, such as going to Applebee's or not taking me to the Cheesecake Factory. Because from my perspective, 5-star restaurant and a coffee date, there's really no difference except the price tag. Because the quality man will still walk on the outside of you as a form of protection. They will still open the door for you. They'll still pull out the chair. And for my single sisters who don't appreciate a man's efforts and demand a high price experience, they don't even realize that it comes across, I think, very judgmental, because you don't know the amount of zeros that man has in this account. And it comes across that you're very masculine, which is why they are getting picked over towards my sisters. And salute to my feminist sisters out there who are more feminine, because they can care less about the amount that you spend on a date. They base it on your character. They're more character focused. But speaking of the Cheesecake Factory, I'm going to go ahead and pull up a clip for our audience right here, which started this whole list thing going on around here. So I'll go ahead and play it right now for the audience.
Yeah, this is the Cheesecake Factory. This is the Cheesecake Factory, y'all.
What's the problem with that?
This is a chain restaurant. Who takes someone that looks like this to a chain restaurant?
You want to talk about it? I'm fine with talking about it, even in front of them.
Oh yeah, I want to talk about it.
Yeah. So you expect a man to go all out on the first date? Is that right?
I mean, you're supposed to. When you take out a beautiful woman and you're courting her, because I get courted.
Oh shit. Excuse my language, everyone. Excuse my language, man. Listen, this is the King Takeover. You in for the ride of your life, man. So, Carl, man, after it's not surprising that sisters with this mindset are getting picked over, but what was your take from the video, and how would you have reacted if a sister treated you this way on the first date?
Number one, it's a first date, and you come with your breast out in a Temu dress. Or a dress from Temu, and you talking about how you look. How about being a lady and leaving something to the imagination? That's number one. Number two, she's talking about she's courted. Courting is for marriage. Courting is to take you to marriage. So if she's been courted, why are you not married? See, somebody's seen through her courted, as she said. Foolishness. Dating is not courting. You're going on a first date. That's not courting. You get courted as you build with someone. So even if it was a skit, even whatever, she's in left field with a lot of what she's saying. But truly, if I had a woman do that, I mean, again, I've never had this issue. I mean, I've gone to chain restaurants all over the place on a first date, and it's like, hey, you want to go here? Yeah, let's go. And we've had a blast. That's just, and again, everything didn't develop into a relationship, but I've made some amazing friendships through this. I've made business acquaintances where we've been able to do business and stuff. Relationship didn't trigger, but business. So you're missing out on what can potentially be something else, because everybody's not for everybody. So when you have this mindset that, oh no, this is too cheap for me. I mean, I'm not a Cheesecake Factory fan, but I mean, again, it's just it is what it is. I mean, I'll go eat somewhere, but you're not. It's his money, and so now you're immediately in the beginning trying to dictate how this man spends his money, and that in itself is a red flag. So yeah, I mean, if that happened to me, I would just take her back home wish her the best, and keep it moving. It's not even a discussion for me. We don't need to discuss it because, if I've told you this is where we're going, and I know we're supposed to pay attention to folk and what they're saying, their likes and dislikes. I get that, and that's what you're supposed to be doing as a man. You ask quality questions, but
You gotta vet properly.
yeah, we're gonna talk more about that. As we could deal with some of the stuff tonight topics.
Okay.
I'm definitely get into that, but yeah, I mean, that's another book I'm working on now. The vetting process. It's just it's needed. Because we're not vetting properly, and I'm gonna put the onus on men that we need to do a better job with it because we're outnumbered. So, I'm not going to say we're the prize. I always say a healthy relationship is the prize, but
Right.
there's very few emotionally mature, stable men out there to the percentage of women who desire marriage or desire to be in a relationship. So if we do what we're supposed to do and vet properly, we'll come across those women. Because again, if something simple is not enough for her,
Mm-hmm.
then if you can't maintain what you have, more than likely she's going to walk out the door at some point in time because the simple was never enough. So if you lose your job, you lose your income, she's looking for the next man to do that. And
Exactly.
it's real, but it's unfortunate. But yeah, but like I said, we'll definitely dive into that tonight.
Okay. Listen, before I continue, I want to thank everyone coming in. Shout out to my brother Captain Hunter, my man Lawrence. Thank you for coming in. Shout out to Devon. Shout out to my man Jason, my brother Will. Shout out to my sister Jasmine. Please come back on. Shout out to Kevin, my sister Barbie. Faye, please comment. Share your thoughts on this, man. Share your thoughts about the extreme list that's going on. We want to hear from you. All right. So, Carl, man, just listening to what you stated, man, this makes me so grateful. Lord have mercy. So grateful that I met a woman who was more concerned on who I am and not what I have, because to me, that does not demonstrate feminine energy, or it does not show that a woman's appreciative. Because just looking at that video, she clearly was not very appreciative. She was very demanding, which is very masculine. And I don't see anything wrong with going to places just to get to know someone. And I just feel, I posted this last week, Carl. I stated here that if I was a single man, right, and if I decided to take a sister out to the Cheesecake Factory and she feels that it's not good enough for her, then neither my time, attention, or resources, right? So that's how I put it. And this is why you have to vet properly, as we just went over, and do the work to improve our character, to establish healthy boundaries.
Right.
Carl, but the tools are out there. I mean, you came out with a book called You Say You Love Me, But Do You Respect Me, which is available right now. I'll go ahead and put it up on the screen. And this book, simply amazing. We talked about it plenty of times and everything. And what I like about your book is that it unravels a lot of things about the respect factor. So just tell the audience a little bit more about your book.
It really does. It's really from respect, and I tell people it's a man read and a woman read. I think couples would do really good reading it together. I know a couple of churches that are using it to actually do couple counseling and premarital counseling with them. So it talks about an element that I think is missed, especially for men, because I think we're confused and people don't realize we keep trying to say it all the time, and it gets drowned because of the sympatharians, the blue pill guys. It gets drowned in that world. But emotionally mature men are simple. It doesn't take a lot.
It's not rocket science.
A lot with it's respect. If you respect that man, there is so much. And I know respect goes both ways, women. I know before y'all start deflecting. What about the man? Yeah, before you start deflecting.
The what isms, right?
The what isms, and I don't do that. But I'm dealing with this one time. But yeah, if you respect that man, I always say there's nothing that man won't do. He will run through a brick wall for you. When he knows that you respect him, which means he knows you love him, because a man doesn't feel loved until he feels respected. I don't care how many times you bring up "I love you" out of your mouth. If he doesn't feel respected from you and your actions, and it shows that he does not feel that you love him.
Listen, the smoke, man. You thought this was good. Wait till our brother comes in, because this is just the smoke. The flame's gonna go across the studio. You may start seeing flames across the screen. You're gonna like, am I watching the same show? But this is how we get down, right? Listen, thank you for sharing that. Nice, my brother. And also, my people, this is a special feature on our website, Dear Brothers, Dear Sisters, with the same link. So make sure you go there. You get yourself an autographed copy. Also, I want to give a special shout out to Pastor Paul and Pastor Donna, because they came out with something extraordinary called Marriage College. And I think this is something that we need more with our community that we're lacking. I mean, we got platforms such as ours and so forth, but it's very little compared to the negativity that you see out there towards long-term relationships or marriage. So if you're interested, you can make sure you go to shallowchristian.com. Just make sure you go out there, because right now there's a lot of social media influencers, people looking to make a quick buck, to talk about how devastating healthy relationships or marriage is. So let's kill that noise. Make sure you check that out. All right. So I'm going to take that off the screen right quick. So with that being said, now it's time to pivot to our show, which is titled Men Don't Fear Marriage Commitment, They Fear Divorce, which I'm really looking forward to. And what you think about this topic, my brother?
It is the absolute truth. As somebody who is a divorcee after 20 years of marriage, someone who's worked with a lot of men, there's always this. I'm gonna say it. I was sucked into this narrative that when divorce happened, it usually was the man's fault. While I was married, you sit and I was doing pastoral counseling and all these different things, and you hear stuff. But as I grew to understand stuff, and then going through divorce myself, and then what was done, of the covenant being broken, it opened my eyes to a different mindset with this thing. So as I talk to men, I coach men, I work with these guys, I'm doing workshops, all this stuff around the country, I'm hearing the same dynamic. So I got some numbers we're gonna hit on, and some things we'll discuss on it, at each topic. But I talked about it. There are a lot of men that desire, not want, they desire to want to be married.
Ooh, they're gonna have to look up that word desire, man.
Yeah. So now they don't want to get married. They desire. I tell people I was birthed to be a husband. I look forward to putting the wedding band back on. I look forward to being a husband. I do, but there is always going to be concerns of certain things, and we'll discuss them. I have to, and that's part of the vetting process. And having someone special, in your life that really sees the same thing that you do, which I do. It makes it wonderful. To start to try to go down that road.
Listen. Well, before we bring our guests into the studio, I just want to thank you for not turning to the dark side of the force. You did not, because most people, when they break up or they get divorced, they turn to the dark side. They become dogs. They use women. They become players in their 50s in the club, jumping around and wearing some old school Rockport shoes, whatever the case may be. But you did not turn to the dark side, man. So salute you, and I'm sure the sisters out there appreciate that, right? So now it is about that time to bring our guest into the studio. We got to get him into this conversation, because I know he's about to drop some nuggets, man. So you ready to get this going, my brother?
Let's bring him on in.
That's what I'm talking about. Class in session, man. Class in session. So our guest coming into the studio is a brother who has a lot of insights, a lot of credentials. He's a great mentor, a great father, one who always speaks his mind. I want to welcome back my king, my brother, Morpheus, to the DBDS Live studio.
What's up?
Oh, I'll mute myself. What's going on, y'all? How y'all feeling?
Good. How you
we
doing,
are
brother?
feeling great, man. Feeling great.
That's what's up. I was back there. I was back there chomping at the bit, man. I was trying to get in with some of that.
Oh, we're going to talk about the list and everything like that. Actually, we have comments coming through already, man. So please, people, share your thoughts on the list, on as well as the topics we'll share today. But Morpheus, tell the people a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and why you're on the show today.
Oh man, I'm just a brother. You know, I go by the name of Morpheus, affectionately. A lot of y'all know me as Morgan Stanley, M. Smith, whatever. But you know, I'm just a brother that has been around the block a little bit when it comes to marriage, when it comes to relationships, when it comes to spiritual matters, and and I'm on my journey to be able to share my knowledge with all the brothers that look like me, that are trying to that are on their own personal journeys, in the hopes to ultimately strengthen our communities, by strengthening our families, and just starting by strengthening, our men, our kings out there. So, I'm working on a few things in the works, a book, a couple of endeavors that are going to, strengthen our Black men and just help us to really be able to go into relationships, into our families as fathers, into our communities as leaders, and really be able to contribute something that's going to change the trajectory of our community into a positive light. So that's really my mission that I'm working on right now.
Awesome, brother. All right, man. Thank you so much for coming on, my brother. Before we even get into the first subtopic, man, I just want to get your thoughts on the Cheesecake Factory sister. If that was to happen to you on the first date, I'm curious what would have been your reaction?
Oh man, Carl, like I told Carl, man, usually in situations like that, there is some evidence in the beginning, so that young lady probably never would have made it out of the DMs in the first place. But had she made it, she wouldn't have to worry about eating at the Cheesecake Factory. I would have, like a gentleman, definitely left and took myself out somewhere nicer to eat. But shortly after calling her an Uber from that very location.
Oh my goodness.
She would have been out of there.
Woo, man, somebody passed me the plate.
Yeah.
Come on, can I get another amen? Thank you.
Yeah, she would have been right there.
There you go. All right, man. Well, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts on that, man. So listen, now it's about that time to pivot. Let's get the King's Takeover started. And shout out to my man Hazardous. Whatever you're going through, man, just we got you in our prayers. All right. So the first subtopic that we're going to touch on is unrealistic expectations. Woo. The picture alone is going to build up some fire here, man. Right. So I'm going to go ahead and put the ticker on the screen here. So my thing is that from my perspective, this can lead to wanting your partner to like change their values or to be the source of your happiness, or they're looking for perfectionism because they like to set the bar so high that they make you feel like a failure if you don't reach them. That's a part of unrealistic expectations. For example, this whole extreme list that's floating around based on certain people's demands or were not to take them on the first date. And listen, I'm not surprised at all, because we live in a instant gratification society where certain people, and especially some of our sisters out there, want everything up front and have not done anything to earn it, or they only want the finished project instead of building with someone. And when you have these unrealistic expectations, trust me, you more than likely will get picked over towards a woman who provides a safe haven, towards a man who is already at peace with himself, one who is already financially stable, one who is already emotionally centered, right? But Morpheus, I feel like unrealistic expectations can also cause emotional distress. But in your opinion, what are other forms of unrealistic expectations?
And I just had a conversation about this yesterday with some newlyweds. I feel like the deeper unrealistic expectations, I feel like it starts with that, right? So it starts with the dating and everything like that, and then it just compounds going into the rest of the relationship. Relationships are not about good times, right? Relationships are about good times and bad times, having made it through difficult times with somebody, and elevated, and progressed and grown and everything like that, and then being able to experience the fruitage of that labor and those experiences on the other side of whatever that obstacle was. And so a lot of people go into relationships with, I call it a Disney mentality, you know what I mean, because they that okay, it's happily ever after. No, when we get married, even before we get married, like you said, with courting, this is supposed to be a process. We are supposed to be coming together. When you do it the right way, you're supposed to be able to come together to execute a vision, to be able to accomplish a task, to be able to do something that is bigger than the both of you. The purpose of you coming together is to make the task easier on the both of you. So a lot of people not only have unrealistic expectations, but they lack a vision going into the marriage, because really the wedding or not even a wedding, you don't even have to have a wedding now. People just want somebody to wear matching pajamas with on Christmas. You know what I'm saying? So it's not even to the point where you need like to get married. That's how shallow and how low the bar is for people's expectations, which is why people give up so easily, and they give in so easily, and then they want to blame dating, and they want to blame men, and they want to blame women. No, it's you. It's your expectations. You're expecting to go into this whole, fairy tale, world of having a relationship and going on trips, and going out to dinner every day, and going to 5-star restaurants and Ruth Chris and all these things, and surprising each other with $50,000 chains and Louis Vuitton boxes and things like that, because those are the things that you got off the internet. And then when it gets together and it's like work, they're like, oh, well, I didn't sign up for this. You can't get a reward without work. You can't get a fruit without planting a seed, and you can't plant a seed without cultivating the ground. So everything starts from work, and people don't understand that about relationships, because it's all about me.
Yeah, very well said, my brother. And may I also add that everything you said is on point, especially you cannot get the reward without work. So if you want to get that gold medal, it's not going to just be handed to you. And I think that you will value it more. I think you will appreciate it more. And also these unrealistic expectations, Morpheus, that often sets impossibly high standards, which lead to your significant other. It may make them feel unworthy, like comparing your partner to those on social media who you're trying to keep up with the Kardashians. And therefore you begin to, for example, throw little jabs at that person. You may criticize him that he's not too ambitious, even though he's productive. You may criticize that he does not make enough money, even though his business is already off the ground, but you want him to make more because to fulfill your lifestyle needs, right? So instead of supporting him, sometimes a lot of what our sisters end up doing is discouraging that brother. And that's the wedge that eventually what may end up breaking up the relationship, or may lead to a divorce, because now you want to use the excuse that you're not happy, right? But Carl, do you think that social media contributes to unrealistic expectations, and what are your thoughts on this topic?
I do. I think because I think a lot of people, what they do, they get caught up in clickbait, and sound bites, and not the reality of what it really takes a relationship to work. Morpheus said it right on point. It takes work. When I hear people say, "Oh man, marriage shouldn't have to be like work, a relationship shouldn't have to be like work," but I always go back to this: when you're on a job and you got an income coming in, your boss says, "Hey, you need to improve on this, or you're gonna lose your job." What do? You improve in that area. When you want to make more money on your job, and they say one way you're gonna get is if you get more certifications or you learn more about this. What do? You pay the money to learn about the certificate, get the certification, or learn about learn that area. But when you're in a relationship or you're married and your partner says, "Hey, I need you to improve in this area," there's nothing wrong with me. I'm perfect. But you didn't say that to your boss yesterday. See, when I sit there and say, well, hey, why don't we go on a marriage retreat? That's not fun. I want to go to Cancun, or I want to go to Belize, or I want to go to, Venezuela, wherever. That's why I want to go. But you don't want to go to a marriage retreat so we can work on our marriage. Our marriage is fine.
Okay.
And then you hit back later on, well, I was unhappy. I was bored. But that's what the retreat was for. So we're willing to spend money. And there was actually an article about it. Well, so much I won't touch on, but there's an article out there about this. The average married couple spends $200 on improving their marriage over the course of 25 years. $200. $200. But you want Gucci, Louis, Fendi, Coach, Maybach, Bentley, mansions, Buckhead. You know what I'm saying? You want dad flown out. All this stuff, but you don't want to go into a retreat because I don't want to be around these other couples. Is it because you don't want to be held accountable? You don't want kryptonite touching you? I mean, I'm just asking. So I think when you're looking at social media, you see these guys and they get on here and you see how we talk. I mean, we're just guys having a conversation. But when you see these brothers and they get on the show and well, as a man, you're supposed to be able. I can't hear you, bro. Speak up. Did she take him? Did she cut him off? I'm just, y'all know what I'm talking about. Did she cut? And I'm like, yo, what? We and I get where a lot of them are coming from, but also a lot of these guys on there that are speaking have never been married. See, there's a difference. You can have dating There's dating expectations and there are marriage expectations.
Gotcha.
And you have people who have never been married trying to get marriage expectations, and they've never been married.
And well, I want to just throw into that. But if they're not meeting the dating expectations, then they're probably not going to meet the marriage expectations. You know what I'm saying? But the thing about men is, like he said, like we got a lot of men that's on here whispering into these women's ear about what a man should do and that and whatever. And you've never qualified. You have to qualify. You have to go through training to become a man. It's not automatic. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of brothers that have microphones in front of them have never passed those tests. You know what I'm saying? So you don't qualify to be able to say, this is what a man is supposed to do, because first of all, you don't even do that. And then you haven't gone through what it takes to become a man. And so we have to get some requirements, some clear requirements on the men's side for dating and everything like that go beyond the restaurants and everything like that. You know what I'm saying? What's your attitude toward service? What's your attitude toward, how do you respond when you are in, uncomfortable situations? What's your expectations for life? Tell me about a last time that, something that, and I'm not saying that you should, explicitly ask people these questions, but these are the things that we need to train ourselves to be able to look for when we're dealing with somebody, and not just keep getting caught up in, how heavy they are in the front and the back. You know what I'm saying? How long their hair is and all of that, because all of that at the end of the day is going to cost you. You know what I mean? If you get too wrapped up in it. And as men, we need to be able to say, hey, first of all, build what's your vision as a man, because your relationship is supposed to be just an extension and a helper, an accelerant to your vision. So too many of us we've been raised, to be programmed to think with our emotions first, because we've been raised by women, right? And then we're going into marriage, and we're going into before marriage, and we're going into courting and to whatever you want to call it, dating or whatever, messing with women from an emotional standpoint with the mind of our mother. You know what I'm saying? And the world doesn't care about that. They're still going to treat you like a man. And so going into a situation with a woman's mentality and having to suffer a man's consequences is one of the worst situations you can put yourself in. And unlike those brothers, you know what I'm saying, online, a lot of them, I'm speaking from experience, you know. So that's why we have to be able to get these this information out here and have these brothers be more comfortable in, you know, discovering who they are and communicating to be able to say, okay, these are my standards for coming into a relationship, and they go beyond the surface. I'm not talking about, you know, what your weight is and, you know what I'm saying, what your head game is like and all of that. That's all great. But we live in a time where, you know, you don't need to get married to get that anyway. So, you know, like you can get that and not, you know, have no standards at all. It's apps for that. You know what I'm saying? But if you know, you're talking about having kids and getting, you know, tied up in a situation, a lot of people end up, you know, kind of putting the carriage before the horse in that matter, because they don't have an identity. They don't have a direction. They don't have a purpose as a man. And then they are, you know, exposed for that and taken advantage of.
Very well said. Listen, we have a lot of comments flowing through, man. Lots of comments. So we'll go to the first one right here. And let's see what my brother
Captain Carl, what incentivizes do women have to improve?
Good question.
They really don't. And I'm gonna say this. This is the problem. They don't, because they've never been put in that position, because you're gonna have your sympathetic dudes that are just gonna give. And let me explain something. I know women like, oh, why you been calling other men simps is weak or what we're talking about a man that has no shot at a woman at all. That woman doesn't want him. He knows, and he's just throwing money at her. He's sending her $1,000 a month. He's paying her rent. This woman don't even go on a date with him. That's what we're talking about. So as long as there are men like him out there, and as long as there are the dudes that have the dating 401ks that are out there, it's going to make it tough for them. But that's all they'll be left with if this is how they have to improve. That's all they're going to have. So they don't want the simp dude, because he's just going to do. So she's going to walk over him in a relationship if she gets in there with one, like with him. The ones that have the money, he's got options. He's always going to be able to give money to somebody else.
Always.
Because so you're not special because he gave you the money. So those are your options. Those two, or your Pookie Ray Rays, 3. That's your third group. But the quality, mature, spiritually sound, mostly mature, self-aware men, they're going to have to improve to be chosen. Because again, once a man is in that dynamic, he has the ability to choose from a vast field of women. So this, like I said, they don't have one right now, but to get the type of men these women really crave, unless this woman just wants somebody that can be walking all over her, or some dude who's going to spoil her and fly out all the time, and she knows what comes with the fly out requirements, then that's what they'll stay with. But the women that really, and like I said, I don't think most women want that. Most women want a man who's going to lead, a man is going to provide, not just financially, but she's willing to help with it. He's going to protect her. He's going to do all these things, a covering, and somebody she can have as a friend, somebody she can build with, somebody she can grow with, laugh with. Most women desire that. They're just too afraid to let their guard down and say it. So they have these unrealistic expectations and standards. And for some of them, this divorce attorney said it best. He said most women marry a man they know they should have never married from the giddy up. And then they end up walking out the situation because they went to who asked, not waiting for who they wanted to ask.
Wow. Yeah. Appreciate that, man. We're going to go ahead and continue with the comments. Next one from our brother Floyd.
Brother Floyd said, I'm looking forward to the show, brothers. It's
appreciate you joining, man. Rocking and rolling, man.
The Cheesecake Factory isn't humble. They tripping.
Okay.
I appreciate it, man.
We've been talking about that. Okay.
That's my brother. Just joining. What has caused this sense of entitlement?
Let's go to Morpheus. I want to hear your thoughts. What you think is causing this, my brother?
I feel like the cause of it, like I said, has been the programming that we get from the time that we're young. A lot of people are programmed with this entitlement that, just because you're you, good things are supposed to happen. And we don't really clarify, you know, the vision of like cause and effect when it comes to work, and we don't have good relationships with work, and we don't have good relationships with discomfort. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of people have not learned that, you know, the relationship between discomfort and growth, you know what I mean? And that they come together, so that discomfort is not necessarily a bad thing. It's not ever really a bad thing. All the best things that have ever happened to me have all come from all the worst things that have ever happened to me. A lot of people that have made it to, you know, the upper echelon of what life has to offer would all pretty much say the same thing. You know what I mean? That's why we have so many of these stories where I was just watching Jay-Z's interview yesterday about the Book of Hov. You know, here's this man from the projects, you know what I mean, in one of the worst places in America, that is now a multi-billionaire, and now has his lyrics that he wrote down about the streets of where he came from written on a huge display, you know, in New York City, you know. But he was able to attain that through the extreme discomfort of his upbringing. And so a lot of people are taught to shy away from, you know, hardship. They're when something gets hard, they're taught to not go through it, but they want to go around it. They want to turn back and go the other way. They want to try to get somebody to lift them over. No. And again, this comes from the absence of the male presence in the household to be able to establish that precedent for it's okay. You know, like again, using the example when a child falls down, you know, and for the father to be able to have the influence to say no, to tell the wife, the mom, no, let him or her, let them get up on their own. And then you check them to be able to say, hey, are you okay? And you let them see, are you okay? Yeah, okay. Well, we're going to fall sometimes. This is how we respond to falling. We get up and we keep going, right? But the natural inclination of a lot of women is to pick them up. Oh, baby, we're gonna, and you make all of these changes because the child tripped and fell. And so that's the beginning of entitlement. You know what I mean? And so, and you know, then it goes into the next thing. You know, you go into school, you go into the school system, and you know, your child is misbehaving. You know what I mean? Again, the father's presence is not there to be able to say, okay, you know, let me listen to what this teacher has to say about my son or my daughter. Right. And okay, this person is you know, the teacher is saying this about your behavior. What are you going to do to be able to change that? You know what I mean? Like, okay, and until you change that, this is what's going to happen. A lot of people didn't grow up with that. You know what I'm saying? They get the mom come to the school. My mama was notorious for it. Still to this day, I got teachers that'll see me and walk past me because it's like, you can call my mama if you want to.
Same here, brother. I can relate. You're
the one that's gonna be in trouble. But you know, it sheds, it shields the child from discipline. And so they have a negative relationships with discipline, when discipline is really the main ingredient to growth. You know what I'm saying? You have to have discipline. Discipline, the root word in that is disciple, which means student. So there's a purpose. People think discipline is punishment. No, it's teaching. You know what I'm saying? And so a lot of women in particular have not been able to have a man in their life to be able to experience the full cycle of a man's presence, to be able to understand what the value of a man's presence is. You know what I'm saying? Because like, oh, okay. And so that's why it's like, okay, now, you know, you're doing something that is not right, that I don't like, or that we need to change. They don't know what to do with that criticism because they've never grown up with a father that said, hey, don't do that. That doesn't mean I don't love you. In fact, it means the opposite, because me disciplining you is a form of protection, which is a form of love. But because it comes from that masculine energy and it's foreign to them, they grow up just thinking that, you know, everybody is supposed to agree with them and everything is supposed to go their way and whatever. And then they get result after result and feedback after feedback that, you know, you need to go a different direction, and it never clicks for them because of their relationship with discomfort and with hardship.
Very well said, my brother. Man, okay. I mean, lot to unpack here, man, but the plate has to go around again, man. Can I get an amen?
Right.
Where's my amen at, man? Come on. Another one. Thank you for dropping those lyrics, man. So I'm gonna go ahead and continue to pull up another comment, man, because they're coming in, and we want the audience to share their thoughts, man.
Yeah, he said, I've been married over 20 years. We choose restaurants by quality, taste of the food. We are probably the worst critics of high-end restaurants. We probably like less than a handful of those food establishments. The ones that are asking for these types of restaurants probably haven't eaten there. So, like I said, this my business partner right there. So we run the same bracket. Yeah. Why waste money on a bad experience?
Exactly.
I agree.
Exactly.
Make good experiences. Yep.
All right.
Let's go, bro. From Ty Randolph.
That's my brother, y'all.
Is it all right? Cool. What's
shout
up,
out to Ty, man. Thank you, Ty. All right, let's see.
Have you seen some of the men's response list? Hilarious. Yeah. Yeah, but I was a little more real though.
Okay.
I posted one in particular, man. This man said, "Women who have party voice." That took me out.
Oh yeah, I'm still trying to figure out what party voice is
talking about.
Party voice.
It's kind of naturally loud and a little bit raspy. And it's like, why do you sound like that? Like I'm standing right here, we at work, but they just always sound like that. Like
they the party, all right. Because I saw it, I was like, "What's a party voice?" All right,
man, I was cracking
up. All right, we're gonna keep it moving. Next one right here.
Need to talk to men who are filling these crazy requirements, such as cash apping ladies for hair, nails, and not in a relationship with them. Yes, brother Kevin, we have these conversations. We do. We talk about it. But the moment we say something about it, we're attacked about it because it's saying, what do I want to say? It's we're hating, or we hate our black women, or we're broke, or we're this, or let those, and then some of them even say it, let those men do it. There is actually a female life coach out there telling women that men need to send them $100 to even talk to them, to have an initial conversation in their DM if they don't deal with those men. So this is, and there are men that are doing that because, and I'm gonna keep it real. Let me just say this real quick. This hopefully don't get us banned off of if the FCA don't ban us on this one. But until men learn how to control their little head, you're gonna be in trouble. And again, we're not taught that. And so these guys sending all this money to these women, and see, you think about this. I don't want to go off on a tangent. I really want to, but I want to say something on this. This is the issue why you look at men. We have to deal with this stuff in marriage, because I told my sons this: do not date a female that has a high number of Instagram followers, because you will never be able to give her the attention that she needs within your marriage. This is keeping it real. You can't. She's always going to crave that attention that you can't. You're one person. She's got 200,000 followers in her inbox telling her how beautiful she is. But think about it. Women are told that from the beginning of time. Oh, you're a sweet little girl. Oh, you're beautiful. You're adorable. Oh, look at you. You're so fun. And they're told that. And it's up. Even as a boy, you're told, you're the brother, you're told, tell your sister how pretty she is. Think about that mindset. And so these women have this expectation that, okay, because I'm pretty, I deserve this. I'm entitled to this. I'm entitled to this $100 cash app that you should send me for this. These men sending money, dismissing. Again, like I said, you have these guys that have dating 401ks to do it, and then you have the simps who will take it from their rent, and they'll send $100, knowing that this woman's not going to even see him. I look at these guys commenting, "Oh, you're so beautiful. You're so beautiful," on like 2,500 different women's posts.
So beautiful.
And those women don't even like to comment at all, let alone respond. They target their response. If you scroll long enough, you'll see who that woman's interested in, because she targets those particular people, those men. And you go to those men's pages and you look, he does this for a living. He looks like this. You see it. So yes, it's crazy this amount of giving that these guys do, but women get upset when they're like, let the men give if they want to give. Let them spend all this money if they want to spend it, but they're not realizing that in another sense of the breath. When I asked the question one time, how would you feel if it was your son doing that? There were a lot of women saying,
Oh, yeah.
a lot of women saying, well, it's not my business, but I would tell them I don't think that's cool. But you don't want your son doing it. Why should another man do it for you? You're setting the example. You're setting the example for your son.
Facts.
Your son's looking at you with a different dude coming in and out the house every other week. You're setting the example. So he's thinking that's what I need to do. Y'all are missing the point. But that's where this whole money thing comes in play. And I said it the last couple of shows. Get with somebody you could be with if y'all had nothing and had to build together.
Just completely broke, you're saying?
It not even broke. You just ain't got nothing. Because you can be rich and be broke. You can be broke in on the inside.
Facts.
You can have all the money in the world and have all the material stuff and be broke.
Facts.
So get with somebody who's got character, drive, and heart, and doesn't have the money and the materialistic things, because you can build with that person over and over again. Every time you lose something, you can rebuild it. That's what I said. Do you want a man who's a doctor and that's all he knows, and he injures his hand, he can't do surgery no more, that money goes out the window? Or would you rather a man that knows how to hustle and grind every day? He can take a nickel and turn it into $1 million every time. What do you want?
Wow. Woo.
And I want to add to that. I feel like one of my main principles that I live by is that energy grows where energy goes. So we don't let them brothers spend their money, because the universe is going to deal with them, because at the end of the day you can't escape the consequences. Just like the women, you can't escape the consequences of the energy that you're putting out. It's going to present. It might be now, it might be later, but the energy behind the motive of what you're doing is going to catch up with you. So it's a lot of women right now that they can't be spoken to, and they're going to do what they're going to do and whatever, because attention is the thing that they want more than anything else.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing that you're going to say, there's nothing that you're going to do that's going to make it go away. They're going to have to learn the hard way and see themselves go from 20 to 30 to 40 to 50 to 60. You know what I'm saying? They're going to keep going, and they're not going to have any progress. They're not going to have anything of substance built up. You know what I mean? And the relationship ecosystem ultimately benefits from that. You know what I mean? Like I always talk about, there's levels of women and there's levels of men. You know what I'm saying? If you go, every woman that gets with a dude that is a simp and she has that experience, right? It preps her to be able to make a decision if this what I really want. So now this dude, he got the car, he doing this, he doing that, but he a sucker. He can't lead, he can't direct, he can't nothing. He just a male with money. He's not a man, and so now she's more appreciative, if she does wake up from it, for running into a guy who is a king, who is a man, and maybe he's not on that level yet, but she's like, oh, if this guy was able to get the money, you know what I mean, and he didn't have any of these intrinsic values, I know this guy, even though he's not there yet, you know what I mean, will be able to make it to this level and actually lead and keep my family. And the dudes who are spending all of that money, they're going to be spending it at 20, 30, 40, 50, and eventually it's going to run out. You know what I mean? Because that's the law of the universe. You're going to run it out. And again, there's levels. Them dudes are supposed to do that. I ain't saying nothing to you, bro. I'm going to say something to my sons like, hey, this is what you don't do. This is why. Because again, a lot of them dudes that got money or whatever, it's a dude that working at Wendy's that's blowing their girl back out.
Max.
Not because of anything other than he has more of the presence of a man. And if you want to be a sucker and give away your money and do all that, hey, man, more power to you. I'm not cut from that cloth, and thank God. You know what I'm saying? But it's not going to stop nothing. You know what I mean? And just like the women that, are make the decisions that they make to pursue that, there's nothing you can say to her. Do you, shorty? You know what I mean? Like it's gonna come back around, but you know, we are gonna attract what we are ultimately. You know what I'm saying? So a man that is a king, it's just a matter of time before you meet your queen. As long as you don't fill that space with somebody that doesn't fit that description, eventually you will have what you want.
Very well said, my brother. Man. So I'm going to take a couple more comments, man. Shout out to the brothers that's watching. Shout out to our sisters. T, Tara, thank you for watching. My sister Kiana just came in. Shout out to my wife April. Thank you, baby, for watching. Priscilla. Shout out to Priscilla. Shout out to Ken Lawrence. Shout out to my sister Marsha Jenkins. You know, thank you all for tuning in. You're in for a great discussion. So I'm going to go ahead and take a couple of comments more from Facebook, YouTube, and make sure that I'm going to take some comments from some posts. Next one right here.
Question: isn't lifestyles created or passed down from parents? So are most of these women coming from these families? Good question.
Good question. We may have to touch that offline because the show is already an hour in, but we will touch on that, brother. Okay. Next one right here.
Sympatharians. Yes, sir. I'm trying to get the word put in the dictionary. They won't let me. They keep rejecting every time I send it to them. We as men set the standard. However, most don't understand what the standard is. Our standards are based on society and social media. We need to get back to biblical foundations and standards. Well said, Ty.
Thank you, Ty, man.
Discomfort can be a catalyst for growth. Absolutely. Yep.
Okay.
The absence of men is critical. Morpheus is on point. Yes, sir.
Yes.
Exactly, Carl. Rich in money, poor in everything else. Shaking my head.
All right, man. I want to hear about some of the lists here.
Only problem with the list, it's from a time when men and women were traditional. There are a number of modern women that want to do whatever they want to do while championing the boss B mindset.
Wow.
I will gladly go to any of those places. It's the company I'm more concerned about. I can afford a good meal and buy it myself after our date. Publishing a list like this is giving broke chick vibes.
Wow.
The thing is, the list changes when you hit the wall. You realize that you are not getting picked, and your friends that once thought that way are married and thriving in their relationships. I always say the ones calling the women pick-me's are getting upset because the pick-me's are being picked. But that's another topic.
Yes. And I'll take one more, then we're going to hit a commercial break.
Why would someone spend a lot on the first date when they don't even know if they'll click? These are acceptable places for a first date. Like I said,
wow.
Just because I'm out, you want me to take you on a $200 date. I don't know if my credit card is going to vibe with you.
There you go.
Yeah, my credit card may decline you.
That's a bad sign to begin with. Like if I have a vision to be, wealthy, right? And I know the principles of wealth, and you coming in right away, the first date, want to spend $200 on, whatever, 3, 4, 5. Sometimes these places, 5-star restaurants, you're talking about $1,000. That's bad business. You know what I mean? Like that's bad business. So if my goal and my vision as a man is to build a empire, which it is, you already cut. First date.
Well, with that being said, man, you are cut, and we are going to take a quick commercial break. Listen, we are talking about men don't fear marriage commitment. They fear divorce. Don't you go anywhere. This is DBDS Live. We'll be right back.
So many people are calling for police reform. And so because they're calling for police reform, they may not understand that there are many organizations who are already responding.
And I feel like you have to really get to know people, see if they share the same core values of you as you before you get involved with them.
I want to ask a question as to how we got to this place right here, where mask wearing, where COVID-19, where public health is all politicized. I really want you all to think about this. How do we get to this particular point?
It's really a nice balance when femininity and masculinity can mix together and just create this awesome, experience.
All right. Welcome back to the DBDS live studio. And I'm here with my DBDS brother, Morpheus, and my DBDS brother, Carl, the accountability coach. And we've been talking about men don't fear marriage commitment, they fear divorce. And our next subtopic that we'll touch on is unfairness of the court system. I mean, this may trigger some people out there, but this is DBDS. We're going to keep it real, So let me just go ahead and put up the ticker. Now, before I provide you with my thoughts on this subject matter, and then I'll go to the panelists, I just want to say first that there's nothing wrong with the institution of marriage, even though it's not perfect. As Morpheus stated earlier, so many people want the Disney type of relationship, but it's not perfect. But the issue is basically who you choose to marry and not accepting the effort and responsibility needed to make a marriage work within itself. And that, I believe, is the problem. So I just want to point out that first, I am pro-marriage, as Carl stated. However, I do believe the laws need to change because based on recent studies and what I've seen after divorce, certain brothers can face hefty alimony payments, even in situations where the ex-wives have the functionality, let me repeat, have the functionality to work and earn a substantial amount of income. And even in some cases where alimony, may make sense, whereas the spouse may quit her job and she needs to raise the children, she may need help, but then she has the capability to get back on her feet and still make a substantial amount of income. Now, for me, I'm still trying to wrap my head around this, but I find it very hard to understand why the ex-wife is expected to receive a lifetime of alimony payments, even if it's her fault. Like she could say, I'm not happy, divorce, and still get these payments. And I think since we're in an equal society, I don't see that equal at all. I think it's unfair. And just to take it to the next level, and I believe that's why men are having a hard time taking it to the next level. So Morpheus, do you think the court system would become more fair? If it was to become more fair, the court system within itself, do you think that will change men's mind towards marriage?
It would, but it's not. You know what I mean? The court system is doing exactly what it's supposed to do, which is to break up families. You know what I'm saying? And we need to, again, going back to the thing about expectations, we need to, and a lot of men are wising up to it, but we need to eliminate the expectation that the government is somehow here to help us, especially as Black people. And as much as we've gone through, we still every 4 years, and a lot of that time in between, see our people going to this system that we know and have a lot of knowledge and a lot of evidence that has systemically been designed to destroy us. For some reason, we're still holding out hope that it will change its mind and help us. You know what I'm saying? And it's not going to happen. So I heard somebody put it very well on social media that when they institute, this is all financial, by the way, the marriage thing, and people have these traditional ideals about marriage and everything, and that's beautiful and that's admirable. Marriage as an institution is modernized. So if you have to play by the rules of the game that you're in, right? So it's a game, and it started all the way back you know, when we got into this modern economy with the welfare system. So when they started incentivizing women to remove men from their home, the court system and family court and all of that was a part of that whole construct, and still is today. So when they put you in housing, right, from the government, Section 8, and then they give you food, right, from the government, food stamps, they want a ROI. They want a return on their investment, which is your children. So the government needs prisoners. The government needs people to, you know, pay taxes and be employees and everything like that. The government needs people funneled into the healthcare system. And this is one of the ways that they keep their in sales, they call it pipeline. They keep their pipeline full is by incentivizing people to break up families. So you'll see these people who make these incredible amounts of money and everything like that, or even when they don't. In my situation, I didn't make a lot of money or anything like that. There's no real deliberation that goes on. They automatically put, you know, the children with the mother, you know, despite whatever her, you know, whatever her state might be, whatever her aptitude for that position may or may not be, is defaulted to that. You know, I had situations where, you know, I was young. I was married when I was 19 years old, you know, and I was working. I wanted to do the right thing. I was married, and then my wife at the time got pregnant, and I was trying to get insurance because the job that I worked was seasonal, had a good hourly pay, but it didn't have insurance. The lady in the office literally told me and her we should get a separation so that we could qualify for benefits. So it's rewarding the action of removing, you know what I'm saying, the father from the home. And we have to stop resisting that. That's what it's for. It's to make sure that children don't have supervision, that one or both of the parents is, you know, dependent upon the system. And if we allow them to continue to do that, then who else is at fault? Now all of this technology, you know, we don't have an excuse anymore to be ignorant, because as quick as you type in Blueface and Christian, as quick as you type in you know, the Real Housewives or Kim Kardashian, you can type in tax laws, you can type in, you know, the marriage code, you can educate yourself and it will pop right up. Videos, information, you can type in prenuptial agreement. You know what I mean? And a lot of brothers are getting wise to that, you know, and saying, okay, well, we're gonna take the financial inhibiting of me out of this situation. So if it's about love, this shouldn't be a problem. This is the prenuptial agreement. You know what I mean? I'm a this, I'm a that, I have this or whatever. And you know, should this go bad, and we hope it doesn't, we're not going to completely destroy me or anybody in this situation financially. You know what I mean? We're going to go about it this way. And we, as opposed to trying to change the system, need to change our reaction to the system. So a lot of brothers that's going into, like, we don't have to be scared. And some people's reaction is that, excuse me, they just won't get married, which is sad. You know what I mean? Because that is still accomplishing the goal of, you know, people having children and doing all these things, but never having a family. That is still the goal of the system. You know what I'm saying? So, but we as men, it doesn't matter if we have, you know, a bunch of participants and a bunch of people cooperating with us as an individual man. You need to make your intention clear to yourself to be able to say, okay, this is what I'm aiming for. This is what I want. This is what I need. And I'm going this direction. And you can keep going until somebody gets on your program, but don't ever deviate off that path until somebody does. And somebody will. A woman will. You will meet a woman that's a queen that understands your vision and is able to help you through it. But the court system is not going to help you, especially as a black man. And we need to just accept that fact from the jump. And that would stop a lot of men from making bad decisions in the beginning. We definitely need to educate our sons about that so that we can break this cycle of having, black men, after all the other, financial, shackles that we have on us from the way that we come up, our education system, our access to resources, and then put child support on top of that, put alimony on top of that. We need to educate our sons about, doing this thing the right way and getting away from all of this fairy tale stuff about, love and everything in the Bible. And I know that that's where it originated, and that's great if you have that, but we have to, as men, play according to the rules of the game that we're in.
Okay. Very well said, my brother. Very well said. Remember, Carl and I, we talked about the whole divorce, and I'm sure he's going to share this statistics, but it seems like divorce within itself is a business, right?
Sure.
And my thing is these laws, this is why everything you stated, Morpheus, this is why these laws have to change, because you brought up one significant point into this, and I didn't even touch on it, but it's even worse when a child is involved. And I believe that most courts today determine custody based on the child's best interest. But in practice, they usually side with the mother, even if the man proves that he's a better parent. But in today's so-called equal society, a lot of men receive custody in about, I'll say 10 to 15% of cases. And I believe that creates this illusion that everything is equal. But Carl, do you think the unfairness of the court system plays a huge role as to why certain men are afraid to get married?
Yeah. So give me a couple of minutes. Let me break this down real quick. So divorce is an $8 billion a year industry.
Wow.
Damn. 8 billion with a B, not an M. $8 billion a year industry. The last poll number, which was done in 2021, is about 400,000 people paying alimony. Out of that 400,000, only 3% of women are paying alimony. 12,000. Wow. 12,000 out of 400,000. You can Google, like Morpheus said, there's this stuff you can look up. But a lot of the stuff I'm getting from Divorce Today, divorce.com, Psychology Today, that I'm getting ready to run down. Even in the midst of divorce, so that's your alimony side. I'll come back to that in a second. The other part, we were talking about the kids. So this was actually looked at. So the court system automatically kids default to the mother, which also awards her child support and alimony in most cases. This is only done because the courts are so overburdened. It's just easier to give the kids to the parents. This is from a law firm, a divorce law firm, stating this.
Wow.
And again, I'm going to go back to something else. So most people talk about reasons why they get divorced. Here's something that a lot of people don't know, and I had to research and find it myself. Most divorce surveys out here today are done and run by divorce law firms who benefit from it. So the actual beneficial way of doing it is to make the man look like they're bad, because we know 7 out of 10 women file for divorce. Within our community culture, it's 8 out of 10, and if she has a degree, it's 9 out of 10. Look up the numbers. It's not us. And there's no way 90% of men are bad. I'm just not going to go with that. But the top 5 reasons for divorce, and this is from divorcetoday.com, which is run by a women's organization. Number 1 is women's boredom. That's number 1. Number 2, conflict, argument. Okay. Number 3, lack of commitment. Number 4, this is the one everybody says is number 1, infidelity. Number 5, lack of intimacy. Wow, finances didn't make the list. Okay, that's the top 5. Again, this is just things. And then they also asked this question. They said, based off of divorces, they asked 1,000 men how many of them regretted having to go through a divorce. 59% of the men said they regretted the divorce. You know, and I'm going to go back into the reasons why in a second.
Okay.
Only 23% of women regretted the divorce. And as they stated, most of them were receiving alimony. Well, I got to be upset. I'm still getting paid. Men in a divorce, this is what men lose in a divorce. They lose their identity. They lose their spouse partner. They lose their children. They lose that family bond and everything that they're building, and they lose part of their wealth in a divorce.
Wow.
Most women don't lose that. So this is what the court system is allowing and knowing that what happens. And most times too, the moment that there's a separation or whatever, the husband's asked to move out. So he's got to get a place and still pay for everything that's going on. So I'm going to give you one live example when I finish this up in a second. Last number I'm going to give you. In divorce, 3 out of 10 men that go through a divorce commit suicide.
Oh my God.
Because of that loss of identity. They have to work so hard. They can't see their kids. The kids are taken away from them. They're made to feel less than in their community because, and we know in a lot of places in corporate America, and I shout out to Monique Arrington. She had brought this up too. I remember, politics, military. I forgot those areas. Being married leads to promotion. When you're a single man and they feel like if you're a single man, you can't give the same way you would get if you're married because they know you got more to risk at home. So you're going to work harder. You're going to give more. It's a systematic, it's the matrix. It's part of the system, the way to look at it. So, but they feel like too, if you have stability at home or you have a wife and kids at home, you're going to give them more. And we also know that you have some type of leadership skills because you have a wife and kids at home. So we'll promote you over a single man who may be more qualified than you. Society, It's just the way to look at it. The last thing is too, like I said, if and this is one of the things, even if a woman cheats, she can still end up getting alimony and spousal support. Man cheats, we know he's got to do the same thing. And I get as an example. Let me say this real quick too. Fine. So thankfully, Tennessee and Texas, 2 red states. I'll just move to Texas, but have changing the laws. Texas is doing away with irreconcilable differences on divorce. That is going to change the game because the divorce rate skyrocketed 700% when California added irreconcilable differences in 74, 75. So this is a thought process on there. They were also but also in Texas, if you get a divorce or you have kids, before child support can be paid out, both parents have to have a job. They're not paying it out without one person sitting at home no more. You both have to go get a job. So that's beneficial to the child. It's beneficial to both parents on there. Tennessee also added the law. That one they're adding in, and then they're also making sure that as men, they have to do a DNA test before they can sign the birth certificate, even if they're married. There's several states doing that. Because again, there's 40% of children being raised by fake biological fathers who are being lied to. That's not mine. That's the U.S. Blood Bank. Y'all can Google that on there. And it's giving you the real scenario. This is why, like I said, men are having second thoughts and have to vet better. But I have a client, and again, I have permission to use this. Married, got a divorce. Well, they went through a divorce. His wife made more than him. His wife makes over $140,000 a year. He made close to $100,000. And because even though the divorce, she got to keep the house. She got 50-50. They got 50-50 custody, and he has to pay alimony and child support. She makes more than him. She filed because she was bored. This is one of those scenarios where you have, as men, it doesn't benefit us sometimes. I can give you one other scenario. A guy married, the wife was cheating. She moved out with their 9 and 7-year-old daughter with the boyfriend. The courts awarded her custody, living with her boyfriend. She's having an affair, married. And through the divorce, he had to buy her out of the house, which was almost $200,000. She got half of the 401k. She never had to work. She got half his 401k, which was close to almost $500,000. And he had to pay her alimony and child support while she's living with the boyfriend. And as long as she don't get married, he's got to pay that into the girl. So where is the fairness from the court system in this. There is none. And as
Wow.
much as people want to look at it, yes, and it's actually less than what you said, Mel. It's only 8% of men get custody of the kids without having to hire a lawyer and fight for it.
Oh wow.
So
Wow.
yes, that's just. I mean, those are the numbers. You can get your fingers on Google. You can look it up. You can go to your courthouses. They have statistics, contact law. It's out there, and it's just. But again, that's just why I say, as men, we have to vet better. We have to think better. We got to paperwork ourselves in position so we can do what we got to do and protect ourselves. But I keep saying there's a ton of men that desire marriage, but because of the way the laws are set up, it makes it difficult to say, yeah, I'm gonna jump into this. We used to do that. We can't jump into it blind no more.
And I think that goes into too where you have these conversations with these women that it's like, oh well, a real man, would know he wants to marry me within 3 weeks. You know what I'm saying? Like, no. If you want to call it that, fine, but you're not taking any information into consideration. This is a business decision, and we need to change the relationship that we have with the word marriage. Like, we as men, and I'm not saying that you should use it as an excuse to not get married. If you have a woman that is in your life that is supporting you, your life is going upward, you know what I mean? She's beautiful, she's kind, she's loving, she has intrinsic value, and she honor that woman with your name and with marriage, but understand what you're doing when you do that is what we need to be doing better as of men. And again, the handicap for men in particular is that our fathers are not around to tell this story. They're not surviving these situations spiritually and mentally. And like he said, because of the suicide rate, sometimes physically, they are not surviving. And this is just a personal story for me. I was divorced 13 years. I was married for 13 years. I wasn't divorced. I was married for 13 years. That was my identity at that time. You know what I mean? I didn't have a lot. You know what I mean? I didn't have a college education. Everything I had was tied up into that marriage, and my house, everything. She didn't work. You know what I mean? I, put myself in a position, tried to, where she didn't have to work. And again, things went how they went. Basically, it ended because of how it ended. But I ended up, living in a bedroom after I had worked. My biggest accomplishment to that point, by the time I was 26, I had bought, a house for my wife at the time and my 3 sons. It's the biggest accomplishment that I had made outside of marriage and my 3 sons. And I was forcibly removed from my home that only had my name on it. You know what I mean? And I was, all of a sudden people are telling you, I changed diapers, I fed my kids, I taught them how to ride bikes. Every day you're seeing your children, and now you have a court that's telling you when you can see your children. I had a court person tell me, because one of the situations was gonna make it so that I couldn't see my children at all. I'm like, if that happens, I won't be able to see my children. And the dude looked at me like, so? You know what I mean? I was suicidal at one point, because I couldn't see out of that situation. And I had brought that to the person that I was divorcing. And, after 13 years, she told me that's not my problem anymore. After 13 years, it takes a special kind of person to survive that. The chances are of you surviving that once you're that deep into a situation are slim to none. And even though you survive it physically, a lot of men don't survive it mentally to where they have the aptitude, the capacity, and the understanding to be able to pass these lessons on to the next generation. And so the next generation is being raised by the woman that caused that circumstance, and the young men are seeing that woman as their mother. You know what I mean? And then they have no defenses. They have no, nobody's teaching them. They have no education on what they're looking at, and they go and get a woman just like that because it's what we're familiar with, and then the cycle repeats itself. Now, this man, then if he survives, a lot of them leave, they never come back, and whatever. And that's why men in particular have been handicapped, and we have to be able to get these messages out to these young men that are coming up to be able to understand what it means to properly vet a woman. That is so, and a lot of men or kids that are in that situation, sometimes they grow up and they don't want to get married. They don't know how to love. That's what creates a lot of misogynists. That's what creates a lot of, people who are womanizers and things like that, because of that childhood trauma of missing or having had a father and then he's gone. They don't have any sense of self as a young man because there are no men around who have the capacity to really be able to contribute something of substance to their development.
Okay. Man, first I just want to thank you both for being transparent, and thank you so much for sharing that. And I'm still trying to wrap my head around the whole alimony subject, because everything, as you state, I mean, the way the system is created, it's not equal, especially since a lot of our sisters' current levels of workforce participation is extremely high.
Right.
And I mean, you see a lot of them on social media advertising their business, which I applaud them. But why is it that they should receive the extra income and be stuck paying for another man's responsibility? I don't think that's the responsibility of the man that's no longer with you. And Morpheus and Carl, you see other women who have filed for divorce, and later they self-reflect, as you stated, Carl, that they were wrong. They held themselves accountable, but the damage has already been done. For example, the whole Tyrese situation, which in our group we discussed that, and his ex-wife, at the time added fuel to the fire when she listened to her ratchet friends, which influenced her certain things that led to their divorce. And then now certain people are calling him, mentally unstable, and he's weak, and he's emotionalist and so forth. And people don't realize that when you get a divorce, it's almost like a funeral, except the person is still alive. So it's like there was a lack of empathy, a lack of compassion, and so forth. So I mean, I just think it's pretty crazy out there. But listen, I know we right on schedule with the DBDS King Takeover. I'm going to go ahead and pull up some comments right here, a couple of them. Man, long comments, by the way.
Touching some strings out there.
Oh yeah.
I'm loving this topic. It's very easy to make divorce fair. The house gets sold, split 50-50. The bills split 50-50. Alimony to be the same as unemployment of 6 months, not 10 years. And children 50-50. No child support. Both parents contribute to their expenses. No man should get married until the divorce laws are made fair to them.
Okay. Appreciate that, brother.
Okay. Family court is just the means to funnel money out of these unsuspecting men. It happened to a friend of mine. He couldn't see his daughter for 2 years, and it cost him over $100,000 in legal fees just to get visitation and everything he wanted. Unfortunately, those 2 years, as the child got older and came into her teen years, the mother has psychologically turned her against her father. So fast forward to present day, and the daughter doesn't even want to see the father anymore. What's the next part? You got another part.
There is a next part. Here we go.
It's like, wow, just crazy.
Okay, there we go. Yeah, that is. Thank you for sharing. Okay.
It's not a fair system, regardless of who cheated or who left. This same system is designed to burden the father while the mother is free to wash her hands and walk away.
Wow. I mean, you do see this happening a lot these days, and hopefully, I think if the laws do begin to change, that will change the mindset of a lot of brothers out there, because family court is just a means to funnel money out of these unsuspected brothers, and it happened as that person stated to their friend, and I see this happening on a regular basis. So until those laws change more, I don't see why a man wouldn't take it to the next level with his sister, But listen, we're going to take one last commercial break, and when we come back, it is about that time for our Jerry Springer moment. Listen, sit tight. This is DBDS. Don't you go anywhere. All right, man. Welcome back to the DBDS Live Studio. And I'm here with my DBDS brother Morpheus, my DBDS brother Carl, the accountability coach. I'm your host, Jamel Lawrence. And listen, it's been a great discussion. We've been talking about men don't fear marriage commitment, they fear divorce. And right about now, we're going to touch on our Jerry Springer moment. But before doing so, if you like this episode, just please make sure you subscribe, hit that notification button for joining our YouTube channel. Not only that helps the channel, but it shows your way of showing your love and support. Also, you can view these episodes on the Pure Moment Network. That app is available on Roku as well as the Amazon device. So if you like what Morpheus as well as myself and Carl had to say tonight, you can watch that show on your 60-inch HD TV or whatever you may have, right? Also, check this out. Not just that we're available on the Roku network, but we're also available on Spotify, Amazon, Radio Public, Anchor Radio. No matter where you may be, you can just listen to these amazing episodes. But listen, we're going to go ahead and just finish off with our Jerry Springer moment. First, I'm coming to my brother Morpheus. What an amazing show, my brother. What are your final thoughts for today's show?
My final thoughts for today's show just would be, for the brothers and for everybody, you know what I'm saying? Men and women, relationships are, like I was telling Carl before, relationships are of the spiritual realm, you know what I'm saying? So you have to transcend the transactional thinking, you know what I mean? It's not an interview, it's not a job, it's not, any of that. It's on a higher level, and it's something that we qualify for, as men and women, not, through our bank accounts, not through our education, not through our degrees, but through doing the work personally, you know what I mean? And if you really are desirous of having a good man or a good woman in your life, you know what I mean? The best way to be able to secure that is by just doing the work yourself, and you don't have to go onto an app and search and go on these dates and have these debates about, which restaurant we should and shouldn't go to. Just go on your path, do your work, and your person, I promise you, will meet you on your path. You know what I mean? So to all the brothers, and the sisters out there, and the way that you do your work, exercise, read, have different experiences, just leave a hookah and the bars and the lounges and stuff alone for a little bit. Leave social media alone if you had to, you know what I mean? And go have a different experience. Go to a yoga class, go to a state or a city that you've never been to before. Move out of your home state. Move out of your hometown. Different job. Join the industry. There's a lot of stuff that you need to do. You're having the same experiences because you're caught in a loop. Break the loop. Do something different, and you'll get a different response or a different result. So that's just all my little my 2 cents for all the people out there.
Love it, man. Love it. Yeah, man. Have that politician mindset. Campaign. Move. Love it, Morpheus. And Carl, man. Kane Takeover. Always amazing, man. What are your final thoughts for today's show?
Man, appreciate Brother Morpheus being on here today and the solid gold nuggets he's dropping. Yeah, I agree. I mean, the biggest thing for me is, and this is, I'm gonna say to the ladies and then something to the men, but to the ladies, there are men that want to get married, but if you think about some of the stuff that we shared today, how does that affect your thought process on marriage? Because I know a lot of times it's been made, and I said this way, I had the same mindset that it was always the man's fault, but it's not. And there are a lot of men that have been damaged, hurt out here, and they're still willing to give marriage a second chance. But are you going to allow the false narrative that's put out there to keep you on that side, to keep your guard up, or to feel like, oh, I'm not going to do this, or I'm not going to trust these men, or I'm going to end up doing the same thing and hurting them again? And it's for men. Level up, brothers. Hey, basically you do, like Morphe said, read, and I say the same thing to women, but read, exercise, change your diet, change your mindset, change your environment, change your circle. If you hang around with dudes that feel like they should be able to sex every woman that's out there and not take care of their kids and not be responsible, why would you even call them friends? Let them jokers go. Get away from that. You can't become a leader if you constantly following around riffraff. So as men, we got to do better on that part. And again, there's nothing wrong with turning a woman down just because she looks pretty. BBD, I always say it, BBD said it best: never trust a big woman with a big butt and a smile. You can't do it. It's poison. It really is. If you don't know how to control yourself, it's poison. Right. But if you know how to control yourself, you're the antidote to the poison. So there's a difference when you learn how to control yourself. So men, take your time. Don't get caught up with these memes and a man will know if he want to marry you in 6 months. That ain't every situation. It's not. There are some circumstances that it's that way. You may know that she has wife qualities, but is she your wife? Remember that. Don't make the mistake and get out here and get caught up in that. But have fun dating, folks. Have fun getting to know people. Take your time. Enjoy the process. Enjoy what goes on with that. And understand, marriage done right is beautiful. Don't let social media fool y'all. Marriage done right is beautiful. We just got to change the way we're marrying and who we're even marrying. And think about those things. I'm going to continue to say this is probably going to be my theme through the rest of the year, maybe through next year. If you went to zero with this person, can you stay with them? Can you rebuild with this person if y'all went to zero? Not broke. You just is zero. Whatever that zero looks like, could you build with this person? Could you be with this person if y'all had to live in a one bedroom? You got one car. You can't go buy a new Gucci bag or red bottoms every week. You can't buy a new watch or Jordans every week. Can you be with this person? And I think that's the biggest problem. A lot of folk are getting into marriages for the wedding, not the marriage, and to be sponsored and not a partner. And that's part of the problem. So think about those things. If you're going to get married, your vows are important. And they're if you believe in God, they're important to God. So you can sit there and say, God told me to get a divorce all you want. He didn't tell you that. You decided to do it. So that's on you. You'll reap that harvest and down the road. So don't get married if you don't think you can stay married, because getting married is not the goal. Staying married is the goal.
Love it. And listen, if you want more of those nuggets, man, make sure you get a copy of the book. You Say You Love Me, but Do You Respect Me? That's available right now at www.coachingwithcarl.com if you want more of those nuggets, man. So listen, first I just want to thank my brother Morpheus for coming on to the King Takeover. Thank you, my brother. So I'm just going to finish off, and absolutely, man. So I just feel like today, there are signs today that there's a growing number of brothers who are simply opting out of marriage based on the topics we discussed today. And the reality is we have to change our mindset and go beyond the superficial aspect, realize that we need to complement each other. I believe it's not sexist to think about how we make critical social institutions more attractive to men. But in order to do so, we need to engage these questions, because if we remain on the same course, if we continue to have the same mindset, like arguing over different lists, not giving certain people a chance, judging people on how much they have versus who they are as a character, we will continue to remain at the bottom of the poll. So once again, I want to thank this amazing panel and much love to the DBDS family.
Take it away, Mel.